We're live. Welcome everybody to Distilling 101 questions and answers, little Distillers Chat. Hope everybody had a great week. It's hump day. Missed everybody this weekend. Hope everybody had a chance to come in and say hi to Lisa and recognize her special day this Saturday. Lisa Day. Forever known as what, June 14th? I think it was. So a special day for a special person. Hope everybody had a chance to be there. Yeah, gotta get this thing. So let's see if I can do it this way. No, I cannot. Okay. Well, that answers that question. No, I cannot. Why is this frozen? Am I live? Okay, it's live. What's going on, Gordon? Like it's freezing up a little bit there on Distilling 101. So is everybody having a good week so far? What y'all got going on? I want to remind everybody about the raffle for Shiner Sam's wife. If you haven't already got some raffle tickets, check out Moonshine Militia page and get some links and buy some tickets, folks. Got to be in it to win it. Lots of great stuff on there, and it's a great cause. So for those that aren't in it, why not? Let's see if this is going to work. Let's say groups. I'll do groups here. How do I specify groups? Sucks. Got to be a better way. Got to be a better way to share these links. So it's just a second. Yeah, let me split this screen while I do this. So, wow. I totally didn't mean to do that. Oh my God, my screen just went like 5 different ways. I'm going to piece this back together here. Fuck. What about that? Okay, that's good. Okay, good. Okay, let's see. I'm about to screw everything up here. Let's fix it before I do. Technology's a bitch for some of us. There, that works. What's going on, Brian? Now I can see comments while I share the links. What's up, Scott? Figs. Awesome. You got some figs ready, huh? So how many trees you got over there, Scott? Didn't you say you had some fig trees? Who else has some? Who else was that? Thompson? Scott Thompson, is he the one that has all the trees? What's going on, Mark? What's up, brother? 5 as tall as your house, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm going to try to get the link for the for Tammy's Venmo if y'all want to buy some raffle tickets. Philbilly has a raffle on, and it's for his big copper steel. Raffle's $20 a ticket, with a portion of the proceeds going to Tammy. There is a separate raffle for $5 a ticket. All the proceeds are going to Tammy, and there's tons of prizes. So uh, everybody, if you want, uh, you should probably get into that. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and a lot of prizes. So a lot of people are going to win. It's just not one thing, you know. It's like Fillbillies. That's a nice deal, you know, and at $20 a ticket, you know, that's thousands of dollars in steel there. So probably $2,000 or $3,000 steel. I'm not sure how big it is. I think it's maybe a 20, maybe a 30, somewhere in that range. It's really nice. 10-pound batches. Well, that's, you know, it. Do you have is your limitation the pot that you cook in? I know for a lot of people that's you know the what limits the size of the mash they make is the size of the pot that they cook in. Um, if so, if you got a big fermenter and you've got a bit or a big cooler and you keep it insulated, I mean you can put the corn in there and you know add corn and hot water, you know, every few as quickly as you can boil it. Use several pots, you know, to boil it and get it hot and so it's a lot easier to do a big batch. What's going on, Wayne? What's going on, Curtis? It's a lot easier in shadow in here. The other Mark. So it's a lot easier to do big batches and do it once, and just do several runs out of that. It'll keep. And it's a lot of work to do like 10-gallon batches. You know, if you got like 50 pounds, that's what roughly 20 gallons of water. So 50 pounds of corn and 20 gallons of water. So you can do like 10 gallons and 25 and boil and add. But it's just easier for me to do, you know, one big batch and just siphon off, you know, clears as I need to run them and just let the rest sit there. It'll get a little bit dry, but that's okay. Figs. Everybody's got some figs going on right now. Huh? Be some interesting shine. What's going on, Gary? Yeah, it just seems a lot easier to do in one big batch than a bunch of small batches. If you do a bunch of small batches, it just seems like you're working all the time. You know, you're just busy all the time doing batch. And for me, it gets tedious, you know, repetitively. So I try to batch everything um, together. Let me send some more links. I have to give them a little bit of break in between sending a few, so I don't get sat down. So let me get these shed. Yeah, I like also like the steeping instead of cooking for a lot. You know, most people that don't have like you know double boilers and boiling bags and things like that. For those that have the Weber football steels, I mean, you've got a false bottom in that. You know, I think it comes with boiling bags, brew bags. So you know that's an option for you as well. You know, you can cook that grain in that without having to worry about it scorching with that false bottom in there. So, and you can also put that bag back in there once you sparge all the fines off of it. You can put the heavies in there and distill on the grain. And you're talking about a lot more flavor. So let's see. Get these shared till they won't let me anymore, and then I'll get busy. So what steps have y'all done in getting your fig mashes ready? I mean, how much water, how many pounds of figs, how much sugar y'all adding? What's going on with your figs? Damn it. Put the brakes on me. I'll see if I can send that out later. All right. Love to join my live streams whenever I'm streaming. Add you on Discord. Brother, anytime we're streaming, you jump right in here and ask any questions you got, brother. As far as guests, tell us a little bit more about you, Talani. David, I guess, brother, you have to Google that. I don't know. I know that Phil and them have stayed in this one area in cabins. I don't know their availability. Just have to get on there, man, and start Googling away, I guess. I don't know. I'd say talk to Phil, Billy, and Tom. Uh, they know a lot about the area, and Phil Billy rented from, I guess Wayne didn't. Wayne? No, no, North Georgia was over there. I'm not sure if Wayne. No, that's right. Wayne brought the camper down. So, um, but Phil, Billy, North Georgia, several others, maybe Joe. Rented cabins, and this one spot is really cool. It had like a circle of cabins, and it had like a grass area in the middle with picnic tables that we all hung out and had a good time at. So maybe those places, if they're still available, would be awesome. But yeah, talk to them boys. Post in the militia page about it. All right, let's do some fig research. Let's see. Let me close some of these windows up here. All right, we'll try to post that one later. Trying to get these windows sized up so I can go from one to the next. There we go. All right, that's perfect. Now let's open up our little chart here and see what it says about how much sugar is in a fig. All right, figs 6.9. So they're not the sweet. It's just a little bit more than a grapefruit, believe that or not. Awesome. Going to Kurt. Let's see. Let me get caught up here. What's going on, Morgan? All right, Talani, tell us a little bit about yourself. You got distilling experience? Have you Worked in distilling? You made before? You interested in the topic, or what's going on, man? Tell us more about yourself. Any questions you have? That's what we're here for. Well, right here is a great place to start. Websites. I don't know a lot of websites, particular sites. I know distiller.org has been around for ages. Um, a lot of information in there is great. A lot of information in there is not so great. It's just people and opinions, and you know how that works out. Uh, so there is some good information to be had in there. But what's going on, Kenny? Right here, brother, is a great place to start. If you got questions, that's what we're here for. We're here to help beginners get started and people, advance the craft. So, um, what do you? First of all, what uh, what what distillate do you like to drink? Do you like vodka? Do you like bourbon, whiskey, rums, tequilas, gins? What you into, man? That's the first thing to consider in what direction, I guess your path is going to be, and what equipment you'll need to get based on what you like to drink and what you want to make. See what this chart has to say about the figs. Bourbon and whiskey, awesome. Well, first things first, you're going to have to figure out a still. How much are you willing to spend? Are you interested in a copper steel for thousands, or you just want to get a small stainless setup to get your feet wet and see what you think about the hobby? I know a lot of people tend to, yeah, ask you questions here, man. That's what we're here for. If your rum stops breathing, do you start over with a new batch, or will it continue to ferment? It'll continue to ferment, Noah. First things first, with a lot of rum fermentations, where it has a lot of sugars and sweetness in it, you need to make sure that you have a little bit of nutrient in there for it, because there's really nothing in there but just sugar and yeast, and it needs something to eat. So you got to make sure that you give it the proper nutrients, and that'll keep it happy. And you also have to be concerned about pH, because with high sugar fermentations like that, the pH tends to crash on you, which will cause stalled fermentations. And anytime you get that, it's going to think it's stopped breathing, it's not finished yet. But do you have a hydrometer, Noah? Bob, it's a good question. Both are very clean metals to work with. It's not like galvanized or something like that. So you're not going to get metal taste or copper taste in either one. The benefits of a copper, awesome. Did you check pH, uh, Noah? With copper, it removes sulfites from the distillate. So, like on some of your brandies, and sometimes fermentations will build up sulfurs. It all depends on how the yeast, what yeast you use. Are they happy? Because if they're not, they metabolize some off flavors. So if they're stressed, they'll give you off flavors. That being one of them. Happens a lot, probably a lot more for me in brandies than like in a grain or a rum or something like that. But it can happen in anything. But having the copper somewhere in the vapor path, whether it be a copper steel with copper plumbing, or a stainless steel with some added copper mesh to help, those sulfites bond to the copper to remove them from um, the vapor path, and that will affect the taste. But you can do that with a stainless. So if you have a stainless pot and you've got copper mesh, that's going to help remove those sulfites just like a copper steel would. Copper steels heat better, heat more evenly, but there's maintenance involved. So there's pros and cons to both. For beginners, I generally recommend a 10 to 20 gallon stainless pot, like a Bever 13 football or a Bever 18.5 football. A good size steel. It's got a ferrule on the lid. You can remove the lid for easy cleaning. Make sure you get your gaskets on right. The little rubber gasket, I've seen people put those on backwards and have some issues with them. I've seen people not understand how they work and take a knife and split them and set down because sometimes it doesn't come with instructions, and then when it does, sometimes it's not very descript. But I highly recommend the Bever 13 and 18.5 for what they are, or a keg steel, even cheaper. 35 bucks for a keg steel. Get up with Fuel Billy, get your little column put on there, a couple $100 for about 250, about the same price as a Bever. You can have a keg steel, 15 gallons. So, but I like either one of those. Is a great start. Phil Billy and a lot of other people, Wayne, a lot of people make parts to go right onto those ferrules. They come with a 2.5 inch ferrule on the 13, 18.5. So you get a reducer to 2 inch or enlarged to 3 or 4, whatever. But I think 2 is fine for an 18.5 gallon pot. You get plenty of good vapor velocity in it. It works off pretty quickly. Highly recommend those, the either the keg or a Bever football steel. Now the football is just a shape. It's just a head that sits on top. There's one that kind of looks like a milkshake. You don't want that one. This one, I mean, it's okay, but the football one is really the one that works the best. And you can stuff your copper mesh inside the football. You can put some Rashi greens in there for reflux. You can put copper. You can take copper pipe and chop it up into little rings and throw it in there. Any copper that if you have scrap copper, anything like that, it'll bond to. But the mesh seems to be pretty good. It has a lot of surface area, so it can trap a lot. And then after you get done, you can rinse it out and reuse it. You can get quite a few uses out of it before you pitch it. It's not too expensive. You can find it on Amazon. Back to Noah. Yeah, you need to test your pH, especially in like rum washes. It definitely has a tendency to crash, uh, and that's a pretty expensive wash. So you definitely want to take care of that blue coffee. It's not cheap. Or no, you said rum, not tequila. Well, either way, it'll do a lot better once you get the pH balanced. What we generally recommend, there's a stabilizer, 5.2 stabilizer. You can buy bottles of it. It works fairly well. Calcium carbonate powdered. It's not a quick working thing like baking soda. It's not fast acting. It's something that buffers. Okay, well, great, brother. You found the right place then. So what if you go to the farmer feed supply store, Tractor Supply, whatever, they've got big 40, 50 pound bags of crushed oyster shells. Okay. A lot of farmers use it for their chickens, to help the chickens keep their calcium content up and have good, hard, solid eggs for shipping, right? It's also great for planting, so I get a big bag because I do a lot of, vegetables and stuff. It's great to, supplement your soil with as well. But I'll take some and I'll boil it and break it down to smaller pieces, and I'll boil it up and kill any bacteria that might be in it. And also maybe if there's any salts, that are still in there, or any off things, you generally, kills everything off and neutralizes any kind of odd flavors that may come from it. Let it cool, let it dry, and then wrap it up in a little cheesecloth bag. So a couple big handfuls in a cheesecloth bag, tie it up, just throw it in there right when you pitch your yeast. You can throw it in there, and basically what happens is as the acidity builds up or drops in your mash, as it crashes in your wash in this case, um, the acidity will build, and as it does, it starts eating away at this calcium carbonate. So it's a slower acting thing. As the acid drops, and the wash becomes more acidic, it starts eating away at this calcium carbonate in the shells, and it neutralizes itself. But you just can't throw the shells in there and it just boom boosts the pH. It's a buffer. It's not a pH booster. So if you start with that, a lot of times, unless you have an extended mash, it'll basically take care of it as it goes. But if your pH gets down into the twos, expect your pH to drop. So, a lot of people say, what's the best pH? 5.3, 5.2. And people automatically assume I need to keep my wash or mash or whatever at 5.2, 5.3. No, that's not the case. It's going to naturally drop. Let it drop. Okay. It's going to, acids, the creation of organic acid it's a process it's a byproduct of the fermentation process, let's just say. So organic acids are going to happen. That's why you get the pH crashes. Uh, so if it gets down in the twos, it's much better to use pickling lime, or which is a great thing, probably much better to use than baking soda. Baking soda kind of stresses your yeast because of the salts in it, and because of the oxygen that it creates. When you pour it in, you'll know what I'm talking about immediately. It'll start. Football steels, Vever, they'll be on Amazon. They're on eBay. I'll look one up in a minute and I'll show you a picture of it, brother. Just a second. So as you add the pickling lime, it doesn't add all this oxygen. If you use the baking soda, it adds all this oxygen, which stresses the yeast, makes them go into breeding when you really want them to be feeding, and then they go into breeding and create, kind of overpopulate maybe sometimes. And if you don't have enough nutrient, then it stresses because it's overpopulated and hungry, and they start cannibalizing the dead yeast, and it's not a good situation for the yeast, and a lot of times you'll get off flavors. But it's definitely better to add the baking soda and have that issue than to not and have the yeast stress from the low acidity, or high acidity, low pH, I guess you should say. So if it gets in the twos, threes, not a problem. So don't automatically bring it up. If you start out at 1060, 1070, and it's down to 1020, and it's starting to get close to the high threes, it's fine. Leave it alone. Let it finish out. Don't start fucking with it. Everybody wants to. It doesn't have to be a perfect 5.3. The yeast have been, selectively bred to handle these lower pHs into the threes, unless maybe even bread yeast should be able to handle that. So you should be fine. So yeah, uh, but pickling lime won't add that oxygen, and I think that's calcium hydroxide. I think it's calcium hydroxide. Let me check. Pickling lime. What is that? Calcium hydroxide. Yeah, pickling lime is a calcium hydroxide. But the eggshells, or the eggshells are, but the oyster shells are calcium carbonate, which works a little bit better. And that calcium is essential in the fermentation process anyway. It's definitely an essential. That's one of the reasons why limestone water works so well, is because of the calcium content. So, all right, let me get to Simon's before I show you the picture, Bob, and I will pull it up. Yeah, no problem, brother. Any other questions, man? We're on here Wednesday, Friday. I mean, I'll sit here for 2 hours and 3 hours and answer every question you got, man. That's why we're here. And that's for beginners. We want to get everybody on the right track. We want it to be an enjoyable hobby. It can get frustrating. There can be, successes and failures. I've talked to a guy this week, it's his first time doing it, and it turned out great. Everybody, him and all his buddies are digging it. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe how good it is." Thank you. And they're just tripping. So, um, yeah, let's get to Simon here. I'm a beekeeper and have plenty of honey. I haven't done a run with it yet, but was thinking of doing a honey banana run. Sounds nice. Anything I need to look out for? Well, yeah. Now that you mention it, uh, bananas make a huge cap. Okay, so when you ferment this stuff, I mean, you might have a fermenter. Let's just say your fermenter is this tall and it's 25 gallons, do 10 in there, because that head, man, the cap on this, on any banana mashes, gets huge. So leave yourself plenty of room. Other than that, I mean, you can use a little bit of enzymes on your bananas if you want to get a little bit of the starch conversion out of the sugars. You can see that bananas have a pretty high sugar content, 3 to 5 pounds per gallon. This would be for ones that are really sweet. This would be for ones that are kind of green. So the softer and more sweet and spotted, the better. Um, if you do want to use the peels, scrape the strings. Those strings that come off the bananas, those are somewhat bitter. So you try to want to stay away from those. Um, but use your hydrometer. Do you have a hydrometer? Yeah, I'll just say, but let me find that real quick for you. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, let's see here. Let me see if I can share the screen. Okay. So, well, let me get it on the right damn picture. I can't believe that changed on me like that. There we go. All right, so I'm not sure if you can see this very well or not. Maybe I can just do a grab. Maybe and this is right. Okay, let me do a screen capture here of this and you'll see. But yeah, look up Vever alcohol steel. Um, let me do it this way. It'll be a little better picture. Just a second here. Okay, so this is a Vever football steel. Right here is the gasket I was talking about. It's a rubber gasket that you have to actually fit into the lip of the lid. Okay, a lot of people just try to hang it on there and then put their lid down on top of it. So that's not how that works. This is Vever. There's some other companies that make this, but this is the football that we regard to. Okay, we call it that because it just looks like a football, and the other one looks like a milkshake blender. Looks like a blender on top. Okay, so this is 18.5. But right here, if you notice, there's a ferrule on the lid. You know, some of the lids are. This is an old picture. The newer lids kind of shape upward here. They don't just have that in the middle, but there's a ferrule on this. So this is a 2.5-inch ferrule that clamps onto this head. This is actually a rectifying head. You can allow some, if you want to try to allow some of your fours to blow off and some of your heads to drain off here. You can do that. I don't fool with it. I just catch it right here. And but this is a canister filter. So you put in your cold water at the bottom and your hot water comes out the top, return, and it circulates around in there. This is that where the alcohol comes out. So it's contained, which means you can force water into this and at whatever rate you want to. I'm sure there's a limit. You're going to blow the cap off, but or the hose off, but you can force water into this to keep it cool more than like an open worm that you have to limit or it'll overflow because the return's not large enough to handle the volume coming in. What's going on, Hellbilly? So, but that's the one, definitely a good little pot. You can see right here where this ring is at the bottom. That's the false bottom I was talking about. It's got a plate that you can put in here. It should have a brew bag. I don't see one here with this. If not, but I mean, you get a hydrometer, you get a graduated cylinder. These are ceramic rings for reflux. You can put that in here for reflux. This is just an end cap, but these have another ferrule on the side of this on this football that attaches this canister filter. It's also 2.5, so you can get a 2.5 to 2 reducer, and you can take this canister filter off, and then you can go into like a jar rig or a thumper or whatever that's built on ferrule technology, these sanitary ferrules and tri-clamp technology that's so much better than trying to paste. It's you're not gonna ever want to go back once you go to the tri-clamps. Yeah, they do. They work great. I've got one too. They're excellent. You know, it for any skill, any level. I mean, Alan Bishop has one commercial distiller, you know, just for experimenting and doing small stuff, and it's great. He loves them too. I mean, other than kegs, I don't think you can get as good a deal and get into a still. I know on Black Friday, like last year or year before, they were selling for 150 bucks. So that's a great deal. But right now, 229. Um, and I'm pretty sure that Fieldbilly has a discount code if you want to go over to Fieldbilly's site and check. I'm pretty sure he's got maybe a 5% discount code for Weber. If you enter that in, you should be able to get a little bit more money off. 10, 15 bucks, whatever. Use it to buy you some of those raffle tickets. Think about that. Yeah. But yeah, that honey banana sounds great, man. It sounds yummy. Hope that works out for you. But definitely use some nutrients in it. It's going to need some nutrients, and those the eggshells will work. I keep saying eggshells. Don't. It's just too much trouble. You got to boil them, and then you got to bake them, and all this shit. Get them, uh, and then you have to still worry about the taste, not bacteria so much, but the taste. So I try to keep everything fairly sterile. Um, but we're getting a lot of that. Ancestor 666, you've joined us, man. Got any questions? Chime in. As far as having a bunch of people, groups of people on here, I don't tend to do that until maybe after hours. Sit around, chat or something like that. We can go backstage. We can chat there. But I generally don't have a lot of people on. I'll have a guest every once in a while. Um, yeah, you want to get a nutrition. Bananas, not enough yan and fan. Learn about yeast assimilable nitrogen and free amino nitrogen that you need for the yeast in their food. Best bet is to get on Amazon, order some diammonium phosphate or some Fermax or Fermade or Fermo if you want organic. All those are perfectly good nutrients. It's cheap. It's like 11 bucks for a big pound of it. It'll last forever. Good stuff. A lot of people hate it, but a lot of home distillers don't like it because it's adding chemicals. But every major winery, every major distiller, every major brandy maker, every major wine maker, they all use it. So, I mean, they spent millions of dollars developing a good nutrient for their grape, ferments, and for their fruit ferments, and for some of their fermentations that don't have, malted grains. Anytime you do like a whiskey or bourbon, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not forgetting you. We're going to talk about you mentioned that you like the bourbon and whiskey, Bob. So um, this is a whiskey head. This is a good setup for whiskey right here, bourbon. Not a lot of reflux comes through, goes through the copper mesh, a little bit drips back down and reflux. Copper mesh takes a lot of your sulfites out, puts it in the condenser, boom, come out about 140, 50 proof, and works pretty well. Works really well for a bourbon or a whiskey or a brandy. You don't strip a lot of flavors out. The columns that you see, the big tall columns with um, lots of reflux going on, that's going to strip some flavor out. Big thumpers, that can tend to strip some flavors out as well. Anytime you're, you know, taking water out, you're increasing proof and you're decreasing flavor. So 3 jar thumper for, yeah, actually it does, Chad. It does. 2 or 3 jar rig, it adds a lot of flavor. They and get the bypass on it, um, so you're not dealing with so much hot jar changeovers. So you can run all your fours and heads directly, bypass all the jars, let all that shit run off, and then open up your jar rigs and run your hearts through your flavor, because you really don't want to run 4 shots and heads through all your flavorings that you've got in your jars, right? That's why I invented the bypasses, and many many years ago, and I gave it to the community. It wasn't for jar rigs, it was basically for thumpers, but it works excellently for jar rigs as well, and just as much or more so. So yeah, just bypass those jars, get all the fours and heads out, and all that acetone and all that horrible taste and shit. And when you're through all that, flip the switch and then flip your valves, and then you'll go through your jar rigs, and they do add a lot of flavor. And the infusions of them, you can do it with a thumper, but like if you got a 5 gallon thumper, it's going to take a lot of infusion juice just to fill that much at the bottom of a 5 gallon thumper up, right? I mean, we're talking gallons of infusion, so that's going to be quite a bit of stuff. Whereas if you've got 3 half-gallon jars, with about a third full, that's a lot more efficient, and it does transfer flavor very well. Yeah. So I definitely recommend jar rigs. I recommend using small copper instead of the jars. That just make a small. They make small copper jar rigs. It's just a small infuser. It's basically what it is, made of copper. It's got a drain on it. It's got an infusion port. It's got an in and out. That's all you need, and those work great too. And you don't have to. It's got a drain, so you don't have to get your grill gloves on and loosen up the jar and bypass it and dump all the old flavor out, put new flavor in, get it hot enough so that it crack the jar, right? And then screw the jar back on. So you can make them with copper, just like a half-gallon size copper pot, and they'll make those. Wayne makes them, Philly makes them. I think Frade makes them. There's a lot of people that make them. So anybody will make them for you if you want to ask them to. But that's a lot more efficient, a little more expensive, but a lot easier to use, and a lot less worrying about your glass jars breaking if you use a cheap one, or if you get a lot of temperature changes causes a lot of that too. Shiny Gudon. Well, it really depends on the sweet feed, Shiny. There's so many different sweet feeds out there, and it seems like they're made by different little grain companies all over. So it's all according to the ingredients that go into it. Uh, it's not that we're against sweet feed; it's just that we're against sweet feed where we don't know what the ingredients are. So it's much better to just buy cracked corn and some oats and some molasses to make your own. And that way you know all the ingredients that go into it. A lot of sweet feeds have pellets. They'll have a lot of powdered um, nutrients, and minerals for animals that don't necessarily tend well towards flavor, right? Have you ever chewed up a vitamin? You'll know what I'm talking about. Just go get you a daily vitamin and chew it up and taste that shit, and that's what's in a lot of the sweet feeds. So, a lot of times but it can add flavor for you. So if you're getting it and you like it, it's probably you're getting a pretty decent quality sweet feed. I do know a lot of guys that's worked in a lot of the meals, and they're like, sweet feed is trash. It's the way we make it. All the corn that spills on the floor, we shovel it up, throw it in the sweet feed. It gets kind of the bottom of the barrel, the worst of the worst, kind of mixed all in, and it's not necessarily the best quality. And then some places take pride and have a good product. But I think a lot of the supplements is what you really have to look out for. And anything pelletized, stay away from. Because a lot of times they put a lot of vitamins and nutrients in those that just taste like shit. They're horrible if you ever try it, man. They're the worst. So not all sweet feeds are created equal. And if you can make your own, basically just get you some cracked corn, throw you some oats in there, and some molasses, and make your own. And it'll be probably a better quality. I mean, I think you'll like it better. But ancestor, what you want to join the live streams, brother? What's going on, man? You're in the live stream here. We see you commenting. So, you got any questions? You're interested in distilling? Jump in here and ask your questions. This is where we want bring a lot of beginners and intermediates in to discuss the craft and try to make it better for them. So jump in here and ask your questions. All right, Bob. Fruit. Now, when you put your fruit in, that's when you're doing the mashing process. So, um, I think that's where you're going. Learn more about winemaking. So we take the fruit, we generally grind it up. If it's grapes, you smash them. That way you can remove the skins easily. If you pulverize them, you get all the skins in there, and they can tend to be bitter, as can some other fruits and skins, and like the strings from the bananas I was talking about earlier. So you start with basically making a wine. So you're going to try to extract as much fruit juice as you can. So for fruits like peaches, plums, other things that are real fleshy, figs, you're going to have to use pectic enzymes to help break down and get a lot of that fruit juice out. Freezing it helps as well. Putting each of these fruits have millions of cells, right? And each of these cells contain the sugar to power the cell to feed the fruit, to feed the seed that grows the tree that we use. So to when you freeze it, a lot of the moisture inside those cells expands, just like water. Ice expands when we freeze it. So all those cells expand, they bust, and it releases all those sugars and all that juice and sugars in them. So if you've never done it or seen it, and if you question the effectiveness of pectic enzymes, now not pectin, that's what you add when you make jelly. That's a thickening agent. This is pectic enzymes. It actually breaks down that pectin. So and cellular walls. So when you put that in there, instead of you can do both, freeze and do pectic enzymes to be maximally effective. But pectic enzymes alone will do a pretty damn good job. But try it. Just do a mash of 5 gallons with peaches and pectic enzymes, 5 gallons of peaches without, and let the pectic enzyme work for 48 hours, and then look at the difference in your mash. You'll be shocked at how thin, watery the pectic enzyme one. The other one will be thick, mashy, and it'll be a mess. It'd be mushy mess, and it's definitely night and day. And the pectic enzymes also help it clear and clear out so you can rack it off. But anyway, back to the process for Bob. We make the fruit. so we're busting it up. We're getting all the sugars that we can. We add a little bit of hot water to kill any kind of 160 plus degrees. So we're adding that to kill any bacteria, and wild yeast. So we want to kill all that off. And then you can, if you want to, you can add frozen juice concentrate to help compensate for the water that you just added, so you don't dilute the flavors, right? So, and then we get a hydrometer and we measure how much sugars the fruit has, and then we go from that hydrometer reading how much more sugars we need to get a decent yield, right? So if it's like 1040, we know we're going to have to add some sort of sweetener, some sort of sugar or something to feed the yeast to do the conversion. So we need to add some sort of sweetener. Some use dextrose, some use corn syrup, some use table sugar, some use brown sugar, some use vanilla. There's a whole host of different sugar sweeteners that you can use. Um, so you'll add that to get your gravity up. So if it's like a 1040, you can add enough to get you to 1060, 1070 range, where it makes a decent wine and would make a decent brandy. Now, once it ferments, you'll rack all the clears off. You'll leave the sediment in the bottom, let it settle, and you use your hydrometer to see how much sugars. And as it goes, as when you're finished with your fermentation, your sugar should read close to nothing, right? Because the fermentation process is eating all the sugars, converted that to alcohol and other byproducts. Um, so you'll know by the hydrometer reading when it's done. You can do it by taste and feel if you want to do it old school. But for the $4 or $5, it's a lot more precise just to get a hydrometer. And you can use both. You use the hydrometer, try to guess, put your fingers in there, taste it, feel it, do the little sticky finger thing, and check it, and then taste it, and then okay, guess what your reading is, and then drop your hydrometer into some clears. Get a cup and get some clears off. So you might have to move some of your cap off to the side so you can get some clear juice to put into your um, graduated cylinder, so you can put your hydrometer in there. Now, this is probably a proofing hydrometer here, but we're going to talk about a triple scale here that you put in here. So you just want to have like clear juice in this and drop your hydrometer in it. If you don't have a lot of cap on the top yet, you can just set it inside here. But if you're starting to form a cap, if you drop your hydrometer in around all the cap and stuff and it's thick, it's going to affect your reading some. So a lot of people just use a coffee mug or something and try to get some clears off. You can use a little strainer or something, gets you some clears off. But once you make your wine, then you let it settle, and then you rack off the clears into your still here, and then you distill it. So that'll be the process. But yeah, if you want to, you can mash in this. Yeah, you can, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, you can use this to mash in, and once it's all done, dump it out, clean it, and then add the clears back into it and distill. But most people just get them an old um, HDPE barrel, high density polyethylene barrel, which is pretty resilient, and it doesn't break down. Alcohols don't break down the plastic. So I would use 1 to 1 mix of honey instead of the raw sugar. I'd still be using 3" with 4" bubble plates and an onion head. Okay. Well, I don't know if I would use the bubble plates or not. Um, I like I like to use those for neutrals and for like vodkas and for high proof rums where I'm not needing necessarily a lot of flavor retention, but for a rum with honey, kind of a mellow male, I guess it'd be a mellow male, I guess, with honey and banana fruit. I would tend to use a brandy head or a bourbon head like this, and not the plates. or you could use some infusion if you wanted to get a little extra banana flavor. I'm sure you could get a little banana puree in there and mixed with honey and like a jar egg or something to get that flavor out. But I love columns for making high proof vodkas and things like that, but it does tend to take a little bit of the flavor out. So um, just according to what you want and what you like. I've got some really good banana brandy that came out. It had a unique dark flavor to it. Wasn't great, wasn't bad, but it was just unique. And I was like, man, this just needs something else. And I was going to do peanut butter with it, right? Banana peanut butter. And some people said, oh, that peanut butter can make things really bitter if you use too much of the powdered. So I decided instead to go with um, uh, root beer. And that banana base with the root beer, man, it made some really good stuff. That darkness coupled with the flavor of root beer, man, it just made it awesome. It tastes really good. So, sometimes when things come out bad, you just got to make them work. So if you have a distillate that comes off sour, it just tastes sour, not bad, it's just sour, make a well, they got limoncello out of it, or add some lemonade, make it some country lemonade, and make it work. I ate sweet feed as a kid growing up around barns and horses. It comes out in the back of my shine, and boy, hey, I'm telling you, man, that's awesome. And I'd say it's a better quality sweet feed than that's coming out of a lot of these places. I like to have Sean Peterman on sometime. He's worked at grain mills. He's worked at in the industry and feeding and all that. He knows a lot about grains and sweet feeds and stuff, and he'll tell you, it's night and day between grain mills that what they produce. Some will produce a really good quality product, some won't. Some will use the lowest quality black strap. It'll be sulfured. It'll be green. Come from green cane instead of mature cane. So, sometimes you get what you pay for, but sometimes you can get good sweet feed. But just as a rule, make your own. See what you think about it. Just get you some molasses and some cracked corn, some oats, and whatever you want to throw in there, and try it out. I think you like it. Oh, I would even do it, brother. I hate to tell you, I tried that shit. Of course, I didn't wash it. I started one before I went on a short 4-day vacation, 4 or 5 day, and I started jam jelly. I had a bunch in there, tons in there. Did everything right, checked it, nutrients. Came back, man. That shit had powder mold. It had bacteria crawling. It was the worst looking shit. I mean, very few things have I ever thrown out in the last probably 30 years. I did throw out quite a bit when I was younger because I was just afraid and I didn't know. And little things like lacto and things like that I was scared of that I didn't know about, when I was young. But very few things have I thrown out, man. That had shit growing on top of it, multiple colors. It had spores. As soon as I opened up the lid, you can see the dust and the spores. It was the fucking worst, man. So I don't know, man. I don't know what I did wrong. I did use pectic enzymes on it to try to break down the pectin and everything, and it was a freaking mess, man. It was multiple colors, so anytime it comes out like that, yeah. All right, Simon. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Hey, we're here every Wednesday and Saturday. Jump on here, unless there's a festival or something going on that I'm going to. But jump in here, any questions you got, brother. Let us know how it's going. I want to hear about this. More about your plates, man. It sounds like you got a pretty nice setup with the onion head and the plates there, and sounds like you got a pretty good grasp on what's going on. I just try it with just a whiskey head on there, with just your onion head going into your condenser without the plates. Just go from your onion head into into a shotgun condenser worm, whatever you got running, and or if you got some jar rigs, maybe for some flavors, try it that way, and just see. Worst comes to worst, you can always run it again. So you can always put it on the plates later, and finish it up. But give it a try that way, man. Let us know how it works out for you, brother. Oh, I don't know about that, Richard. Let's see. Shiny's on there. Hellbilly's on there. There's a few on there, maybe. It doesn't know. There's several different YouTube channels that we stream to. So you may be on one of the different ones. There's several different ones we stream to on YouTube. Yeah, this is straight out of Amazon. They were asking about the football steel, and it's a great little setup. For what it is, it's ready to go. I mean, when you order this, you've got literally everything you run. This little pump, it's not going to pump much higher from here into this and out this. So, you might want to up your game if you're going to have your reservoir down on the floor, and this is going to be up like on a stove or something, and you're going to be pumping it 6 feet up, 8 feet up. You might want a little more oomph on the pump. That's all I gotta say. But it does pump, but it's just not gonna, pump a lot high head. So, but it comes with everything you need to get going. Um, but I still recommend boiling it real good, and take some heads if you've got some, and rub these, because I cleaned mine with like just regular Dawn dishwashing liquid. Cleaned it real good, hot water, the whole works. Um, and then looked at it, and it looked shiny and clean. Well, let's just see. So I got a white rag, and I got some heads, and got my rag real wet with heads. You can use isopropyl alcohol, any kind of alcohol. It's going to evaporate. It's not going to hurt anything. You're not drinking it. This is just for cleaning. But I scrubbed inside this pot, and I got a lot of rubbing oil, rubbing compounds and greases and oils off there, that the boiling water didn't, and then the uh, follow up with the Dawn, and it still had some of those grease and rubbing compounds. So I really put a lot of elbow grease into it and cleaned it up real well, and it got quite a bit out. There was quite a bit of buffing compound and grease still on there. If you've never seen them made, a big hydraulic ram comes down and stamps this thing, right? And it's covered in greases, so it doesn't, seam and make visual marks when it presses it. So that forces that grease into the pores of the freaking metal. And then, of course, they try to clean up and buff it, make it shine. So they add a lot of buffing compounds to that. So it's like, shining it. So basically, not what you want. Use those heads or isopropyl or whatever, pure grain, whatever you want to use, alcohol, and clean it out real well, and rub it and clean it out real well. And you should have pretty good flavors coming from it. It's actually pretty neutral, and does a good job. Not as great as a copper steel, but for the money, find me an 18.5 gallon copper steel for $220. I guess, all right, say a sheet of copper, a good deal, and there you go. Probably true. So if you want to make your own, that's your options. Hello, Miss Lisa. How are you? Good to see you. Hope you had a good Lisa Day. It was fun. Yeah. Yeah, right in here, there's a screen, and that's why you can put these little ceramic tubes in there. Rashig rings is what they're called. Rashig, RASCHIG rings. This actually may be molecular sieves, that help separate alcohol and water. Um, yeah, I was telling Wayne that you got parts for it. A lot of people make the parts. Yeah, get up with Wayne. He can make some parts come right off this head here into jar rigs, into small little thumpers, like I was talking about, little jar rigs made of instead of having a literally glass jar, you can have a small copper, like a little mini thumper, right? With a drain, an infusion port, and that way you don't have to worry about undoing a jar and glass breaking and all that crazy shit. You can put your little bypass on it, and it's awesome. And Wayne will make them for you. Philbilly, there's several out there that'll make them. Wayne does excellent work. I highly recommend it. All he does, man. Everything I've seen Wayne do has been top notch. Excellent, excellent craftsmanship for sure, 100%. But yeah, it's coming right off these little ferrules, 2.5 into a two reducer to two. It makes it a little cheaper when you're dealing with the two. 2.5 is kind of a odd size when it comes to the sanitary ferrules and the tubes and spools, what they call them. Yeah, they do. Yeah, actually, they do. They definitely do great work, Richard. They certainly do. What's up? Yes, sir. He is, man. Wayne's the man. Great guy, craftsman. Excellent work. Top notch. I don't know anybody that does any better. Let's just put it that way. What's going on, Jeff? We got a few Jeffs around here. What are you up to, Jay? I sent you a message earlier. Did you get that? But yeah, the Wayne will make you some copper. I'm sure he'll make jar rigs as well. But replacing the glass with, and two, you're dealing with those rings and the caps and having to do the gaskets and all that. You can get like a half-gallon copper vessel. It's just a cylinder. It's just like a little thumper. Has three ports on the top. One's an input, one's an output, one's an infusion port. A drain on the bottom. Boom. That's all you need. And you can infuse in the top, drain out of the bottom, input, output. A little bit, going to be quite a bit more expensive than a jar rig, but the convenience of not having to deal with jars and breaking jars, not having to worry about heating see, when you use jars like that, you have to heat up your infusion. So you don't want the jar to be 200 degrees and you dump, room temperature or a cold fruit in there from a jar or something, because it's going to crack. It's going to crack potentially that jar, right? And you don't want that. You don't want the jar to be going, stuff to be going, you infusing. And so you have to heat with copper, you don't have to. But yeah, I mean, Wayne can make you columns, plates, deflegmators, and put a Mr. Fusion on it. He got all kinds. Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, you can hang your little. Actually, you put a little hook up in your football like he's talking about, and just hang your little gym basket in there. I mean, there's the sky's the limit. So, whatever you want done, if you have a dream, if you can draw it, he could custom make it. It might not be cheap, but nothing custom made is. But if you've got something that you want done, talk to Wayne. He can do about anything. But yeah, on the yeah, one thing about these, if you do start running columns and large um, refinement techniques on these, with lots of piping and stuff, you're going to have to get some support for it, because these lids aren't really that sturdy for a lot of weight. So once you start adding 4-inch, bubble plates and things like that on it, you're going to start adding a considerable amount of weight. And I just put little, hooks in the ceiling, and I've got some wire that I run down and around it, and then hook it, support it, and never had the first issue one. If you've running a keg steel, you won't have that problem. No, it'd be tough, brother. Yeah, you need to get you a jar rig, brother, or the copper rig. You know, instead of the jars, the copper is definitely the way to go. And they have some of those. I think they're made in stainless. They make some stainless that are pre-made. Um, but for the price they're asking for those, you know, 200-300 bucks. Yeah, I think you could put a couple of copper ones together for about that for 300. But yeah, they're nice, and they do those infusions. They do add a lot of flavor. You know, I've tried it with and without the infusion, and they really do. They add considerable amount of flavor to your brandies. I like it for brandies especially. And I'm gonna be using one for my watermelon that I'm gonna win the contest with. So just letting you know. Oh, you working? That's cool, brother. Holler at me later on. You're getting off at 3. Give me a shout. I'll be up. I know Wes. I think Wes is about the only person I know to keep up with me. I'm getting old. It's hard for me, but yeah, Wes can hang, bro. He's. I was impressed with Wes. Now he can hang. Maggie Valley, 4 or 5 in the morning, and everybody passed out. Me and me and Wes sitting there slamming them jars, man. No, I'll try not to drink it all. I've got quite a few friends that take care of Santa. They send me little comfort packages like Richard and Jeff and a bunch of people and Mama B. I've got so many in different jars and bottles. I think I've well, no, I don't have as much gifted as I've got in there stacked up, but I get I get quite a bit of stuff. One of my favorites. Just damn it, you see how low that's getting, Jeff? Jeff, if you're seeing this, but low. But this is oaked tequila. This is fucking great, man. This is really good. I mean, if this was on the shelf, I'd be buying it. Oh, Jeff makes some good shit. Very good stuff right there, man. That's so good, man. That's all. I think he should focus on that. I mean, he makes a good Buddy Butcher sour mash, wheated Buddy Butcher sour mash, and clear tequila, both great. But that aged on oak, that gold tequila is next level, man. It's fan fucking tastic. Yeah, I guess you're talking about the infusion jar. Yeah, absolutely. That's like we were talking earlier. How I made that banana rum that just had that dark grungy flavor that wasn't bad or great. It just alone wasn't working for me, right? So I was going to add the peanut butter, and they said, you know, don't be careful. You ruin a good rum with that peanut butter because it can make it bitter. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want. This is a pretty good rum. You know, it's not. It's just had a unique flavor to it. That's all I can say. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just different. And I was trying to think of different things that I could complement it with. You know, like a contrasting flavors. And sometimes you want contrasting flavors. Sometimes you want complementary flavors. And this was probably more complementary than contrasting. But the root beer really complemented that dark, so you get that root beer, strong root beer flavor infused with that banana grungy darkness. Man, I mean, I don't pat my back on a lot of my stuff, but that fucking shit is dangerous good, 100 proof, and you can just drink it like freaking water. And it's so good, man. It's so good. Yeah, he does, man. He can hang. Oh, Wes. But yeah, you know, there's contrasting flavors and there's complementary flavors. So contrasting flavors, of course, would be like a sweet and sour. So that works too. But so if something doesn't necessarily work alone, and you come up with something, of course you can rerun it. If it's not scorched, you can always rerun it. You put it on plates, neutralize it, whatever. But try to think of, this alone isn't working, but what can I add to it that makes it work, right? What can I complement this or contrast this flavor with? And so sometimes if it's just real sweet and you don't want to add more sweet to it, maybe you could add something contrasting to it. So a sour and get a sweet and sour kind of note, or a dark and grungy or earthy. We get a lot of earthy notes that we can use to complement or contrast with other flavors. So it's all experimentation, yeah. But the infusers is where you definitely want to do it. Um, it doesn't carry over so much. It's great to have in your mash. Mash tends to add flavors that you taste. Infusers tend to, well, thumpers with flavor tended to add more of a smell to it, right? It didn't so much taste as smell, but people a lot of times confuse smell with taste, because when you're drinking it, you're smelling it and you feel like you're tasting it. So, and you are some, but you kind of add both together, and it makes it more complete, if you can follow me. So, homemade cheesy ham potato soup, awesome. That sounds delicious, brother. We'll talk about food. We can definitely talk about food. Look at my belly. I was just posting. Well, no, I was just telling a buddy of mine. Um, Yesterday, I went to the store, and guess what I saw? Spiral cut honey hams, sugar cured hams, 49 cents a pound. 12-pound hams for $6. Man, I left with 5, wishing I'd had a bigger freezer or more freezers. I got 3, uh, but I've got refrigerator freezers. I need to get me a big chest freezer, because I like buying turkey and hams when they go on sale like that. Because those things are vacuum sealed. They're sugar cured. Them some pre-cooked. Those some bitches will last a year or two easy. I pulled out a 2-year ham, cooked it. Man, it was just fine. Wasn't freezer burnt. Well, I mean, probably not as great as if you just bought one fresh and did it. There was a touch of loss, but for a 2-year, man, it was awesome. I thought it was going to be, freezer burnt, have that freezer burnt taste to it and all that. I'm telling you, man, it was awesome. 49 cents a pound. Come and get it, brother. I couldn't believe it. So I might go back. It's the sale on, and they have corn, uh, good sweet corn, peaches and cream. I don't know. It's probably the GMO white and yellow that everybody gets. Um, it was 20 cents an ear last week. 2 weeks ago. This week it's 25 cents an ear. So it's worth it. Decent size. They had some smallies in there, so we just picked through them and get out the good ones and the big ones. But good corn. But yeah, at that price, you could make some sweet corn shine, and of course that makes good infusion stuff too. Add that to a little cream corn, and that's great. So if you're making your whiskeys and you want have an infusion jar, and it's not just for brandies, try adding some cream corn to your corn liquor run and infuse with that. See what it does for you, man. You'll be impressed. It's really fucking good. And if you put some of this mashed up sweet corn in it, yeah, man, it works. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I probably, I had a few hams earlier, because they had that same deal about 3 months ago. And anytime I see it, man, I'll get a few. So I probably have 8, 9 hams in my freezers up there. We just cooked the last turkey from this past Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it was about 6 months old, and it was fine still. Maybe 5 months. Yeah, about 5 months old. This Christmas, around Christmas time. Cheap, give 29 cents a pound. I mean, how can you go wrong? you know, we just finished it up. Made a little casserole and made a casserole out of it. It's pretty good. Well, if you have the bypass, like I was talking about earlier, when I when I was younger, I used a thumper, and I say I invented the bypass. I mean, I'm sure it's been used for a long time. It was new to me. I'd never seen one. I did it out of necessity, and experiment, and I'd never seen them, but used. I'm sure they've used them, and I'm sure big distilleries use diversion and they retort, but I've never seen just a typical um, bypass like this. But I set it up so all the forks and heads could just bypass and go directly into the worm and get condensed. And then once you got through all that, taste and smelling, flip the switch and then go through the thumper or the jar rigs. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you want to get you a bypass on there. Or a drain. You could just, anything that builds up, if you have a jar rig and you got stuff building up through the heads and all that, then you can just take your jars off, dump them, clean them out, and then put your infusion stuff in there, and then put them back on. And of course, you got steam coming out. It's dangerous. It's best just to use the bypass, and instead of using jars, go with the copper, small little copper tumblers or whatever you want to call them. I'm telling you, man, it with some sweet corn and cream corn. Cream corn works really well. Get you an immersion blender and put some sweet corn and cream corn together and immersion blend it up, get it all ground up real fine, and put that in your infusion jars, man. I'm telling you, it'll make your corn liquor have so much more corn flavor. It's awesome. It's really good. And it doesn't have to be a good cream corn. Get you that dollar store cream corn with them big ass cans, Costco cans or whatever you can get, cheap stuff. It's damn good. You'll never want to do it any other way. For corn liquor, it's awesome. I do it for the corn. If I have mixed grains, I don't do it for the mixed grains. I like having the flavors of the grains kind of come through. But if I'm doing just a straight corn liquor run, hell yeah, man. And you get corn that damn cheap, man. You could actually, I mean, you could throw it in a bag, just strip it right off there and throw it in a boiling bag and that Weber, because it's got the false bottom here. And so you can distill on the grain with your bag, just make sure you don't have any fines, make sure, you keep it stirred well while you're heating up. But yeah, with that false bottom in there, man, you can distill on the grain. These are great little deals, man. Awesome. Uh-oh. What the hell? That didn't sound good, did it? I am drinking. What am I drinking? Oh, I'm drinking a little bit of just tequila, but I'm having a sip on it because I'm getting low. But I usually sip my favorite things first, and then once I get a few in me, then I do my. Man, that's so good. That is some good tequila. I have to say so myself. Damn good stuff. Sweet Jesse's double aged whiskey. Awesome, brother. That sounds pretty good. Sweet Jesse double aged whiskey. Now, I'm not, you're going to have to, I'm not the most knowledgeable on all my whiskeys. Jesse who? Is this something you made or Jesse made or store bought? All right, Roy, you got to me, man. What's this Jesse's nigga? And I'm drinking also Coke Zero. Cherry Coke Zero. Good shit. For a sugar-free drink, it's not too bad. Probably should drink more water and less of this, but I like that cherry Coke. All right, y'all. Give me some questions. Let's talk about some shit. What you got going on? While y'all come up with that, I'm going to try to see if I can find the link for the raffle. Basically, the way this is working is Tammy, Shiner Sam's wife, has a. Now, this is for the $5 tickets. If you want the $20 for Fillbillies, you have to go through Fillbilly for that. But for the $5 tickets that are for everything else, she has a GoFundMe or a Cash App. Maybe a GoFundMe set up, but I'm pretty sure a Cash App where you can donate directly because we don't want to handle any money because we don't want anybody saying, "Oh, you all took you didn't," you know. It always happens every time there's a raffle. There's always somebody accusing, somebody taking and stealing. It sucks. It's a shame that we can't do something good without having to deal with that, but it happens. Um, but for those that want to contribute, you send your money to. Let's see. In fact, I think I'm just going to show um, a little video here. So let me get away from that. Let me minimize that. This takes a little bit of work. Screen. Okay, share. Give me just a second. Let me enlarge this and play it. Hopefully that'll work. Let me know if y'all can hear that. I guess I need. Can y'all hear that? Red Rock. Can y'all hear this video? Can y'all hear this? Oh, you can't hear the video? Okay. Damn. Well, there'll be these are some of the items that are on the raffle, so we can at least see it. Ditch Witch T-shirt with stickers from Lisa. I'll have to work on that. Yeah, the Shining Gnome. They still like me. Ah, awesome. I miss it, man. Right, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Let me see if I can alright, let me back that up so we okay, here we go. So so here's how is this, okay, so here's her PayPal, information. You can send it either through here, and be sure when you send your money to include your name and your phone number. Must have phone number. We won't know how to get a hold of you otherwise, and there might be a lot of Tim Jones or whatever on Facebook, and it's going to be hard figuring out which one. So definitely include your phone number. But here's one PayPal. You can send it through there, or I think there's another one coming up here. A Venmo. Last four digits of her phone, 1336. Venmo Tammy Smith, 1257. So if it verify it with that. So if you want to send it directly through Venmo, if you don't do PayPal, again, be sure to include your name and your phone number, because they're going to put your name and a phone number on each ticket. When that gets drawn out, they'll have your name and phone number on the ticket to get in touch with you. So it's imperative that you add that phone number. And there might have been another one that he's also
Tammy.
writing.
Also,
Yeah, here we
there
go.
are
Cash App $ Tammy S27. So Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. So it's pretty much all covered. Just again, be sure to add
lots of
your,
other prizes that aren't listed
yeah, there's
here.
a lot of other
I
prizes.
just didn't have pictures yet. They will be listed in the comments as we
Can you hear
go.
it now?
I do know there will be a prize from Dan Gray at Farm to Bottle for ringside tickets to the fight at the Farm to Bottle Festival, and some Farm to Bottle swag. There'll be swag from Joe Swisstock at Steel Valley Moonshine. There's two mystery prizes that we aren't allowed to talk about, but
Mystery prize.
if you win them, you will get a mystery prize in the mail. Lots of other things are being donated. I'd like to take a minute and say I appreciate everybody that's helped out, pitched in, and donated some stuff, and everybody that's buying tickets. If you
Yeah.
have
So
any
if
issues or anything, just
well, this is-
ask whoever posted a copy of this video, and we'll try and answer them, and we'll try and put as much information in the comments and the description as we can. Thanks, and appreciate you. Have a nice day.
all right. So oh my God. Okay. So this need to listen to Dave Portnoy. Did y'all hear that? There's a video that came on after that was over. So yeah, it's okay. I think I had the volume on that turned off at the beginning, and I was hearing it from the actual Moonshine Militia page that I opened it up from. But that is on the Moonshine Militia's page. If you want to go there, scroll down, you can check the video out. You can get those if you weren't able to screenshot those. You can get all that information there. We'll do it again this Saturday, and I'll probably try to add it into every segment. You know, when things get a little bit quiet, boom, I'm going to put that in there just to keep things flowing and to make sure that that gets proper exposure. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I wish I could have donated something." Buy some tickets. If you can't donate anything, or you don't have anything ready to donate, or you know, and you want to help, just buy some raffle tickets, because there are a lot of prizes. That's just a small amount of the prizes that are going to be up there. So there's me again. So that's just a small amount of the prizes. There's going to be a lot more stuff up there. Richard mentioned that Charlene made some glasses. Let me see. If y'all not familiar with her work, she is the authorized from the militia to use our logo and stuff on these mugs and cups. This is a cherry and I think walnut, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's cherry and something else. I thought it was mahogany, but it might be walnut. But that wood grain's hand painted. Man, look at that. That looks just like wood, doesn't it? Very nice, very nice. And she hand paints these, so they're going to have the militia logo on it. And she may do some with her own logo and some other stuff. And I don't know if you want some custom stuff done from her, cherry and walnut. Yeah. If you want custom stuff done from her, get up with Richard or Charlene. Excellent work. Can't say enough good about them both. Great people. They'll do you right. If you want big jars, she can do it all. So um, if you've got decals or whatever you want to put on there, stamps, artwork that you want put on there, she can make it happen for you. But again, if you're not able to contribute to that raffle, buy some tickets, because there's so many prizes that aren't mentioned. I mean, there's tons. People are giving out some of their, just stickers, t-shirts, lots of great stuff. Lots of great stuff that's not shown. Mugs, tumblers, 30-ounce go mugs. Lots and lots of things that are going to be. So pretty much the way it is, there's going to be so many prizes. You have a pretty good chance of winning something. It may not be that 20 gallon or 10 gallons copper rocket steel, but there's a lot of good prizes. I mean, Wes's barrel's nice. A lot of great stuff in there. What's going on, Dan? Good to see you, brother. So there's going to be a lot. Oh, front seats to the farm to bottle boxing match. I think Dan threw in there. So a couple of tickets for front row seats, VIP seats for the boxing match. If you want to get blood and sweat on you from Matt Brown and Sean Rigsby, I'd say there's going to be a lot of huffing and puffing and sweating. I don't know how much blood is going to be involved, but there's going to be sweating and puffing, I'm pretty sure. So that'll be entertaining as well. But for a great cause, Tammy's in a pretty tough way and needs our help. So that's what we do. So buy some tickets, $5 each. Like I say, get you $20-$30 worth. You have a pretty good chance of winning something, and it goes to a good cause, and you'll get something in return. So it's all good. What you got going on, Dan? You got anything bubbling right now? All right, let's see what else is happening in the Shine world. I'm going to look on the page and see if anybody's asking questions on the page. I might just start answering them on there. Oh, I do want to throw a congrats out to Cody Townsend, also known as Gliz, G Liz. He put in a job application to work at a distillery there local to him and got accepted today. So I guess tomorrow he becomes a legal distiller. And he has to get up at 8 in the morning. So I guess I won't be partying late night with him during the week anymore. Congrats, brother. It's like Antonio is making some 4-inch bubble plate sections for a column. I'm not sure if he's selling those or what he's doing. Doesn't look too bad. Yeah, you can. I don't know if that's made with a copper T or if that's just a copper pipe with ferrules welded to it. Looks like a fairly good job there. And David Dance, a good place to stay at Maggie Valley that's pet friendly. Well, I don't know. I guess you asked that earlier in here too. I guess get on Google and do the vacation Verbo vacation rentals. You know, VRBOs and all the different rental places. Lots of them online. Pretty good deals to be had, especially if you can go in. You know, there a lot of these are like 3 and 4 bedroom places, and you know it might be $500 a night, but for a 4 bedroom, that means each person's paying 125, right, for a bedroom. So if you can get 4 people or 4 couples to do 125, that's a lot cheaper than staying at the Days Inn, right? Because that's 200 plus a night, and most everything else is. So that's some of the best values, and you have a nice freaking house, or a nice big cabin. So that's probably the best way to go is to find a few people to go in and get a 2 or 3, 4 bedroom. You go that route. I know that's what Mark and Roger has done in the past. I stayed at hotels. This year, I don't know. I might just throw a tent somewhere and camp. Ann and I like to camp anyway, so Thursday night go down, and hell, I might sleep in the car Thursday night, and then Friday go to the festival, and then Friday night drink till about 4 or 5 in the morning with Wes. And I mean, really think about it. You know, you're just sleeping for like 4 or 5 hours, and then you're leaving the room, going to the festival all day, going to eat, and then partying all night. And so you're only using your room to shower and sleep in like 5, 6 at the most. And that's just crazy paying that much money. So yeah, maybe we just all rent a room and each take turns taking a shower in it. I'll sleep in the freaking car before I'll pay $700 again for 3 nights in a 2-star hotel. But yeah, I like the gnome. That looks a little bit like me, doesn't it? That Lisa painted. What's going on, Alan? I'm glad I flashed back over here. Nothing bubbling, Dan. Come on, brother. What's going on, Alan? Good to have you on here, brother. For those that don't know, Alan is going to be on July. What is it? And let me scroll down. I haven't made my little flyer yet. I need to do that in the next week or so I can start putting it out. Here we go. Let's see. Alan will be on. Now, this is when Messenger's going to give me the circle of death for 5 minutes. Yeah, well, as soon as that figures out. What day was it, Alan? Hell, refresh my memory. Hell, maybe if I can pull up the calendar here, it will be July 9th, I believe it was, wasn't it? July 9th? Wednesday, July 9th? I think it's a few days before we go to Fieldbilly. So, yeah, I think July 9th. Let me know. Is that right, Alan? My messenger's it's just circling on me. It's not. I know I got that. I've got your email in there too. But damn if it ain't. It's not working for me. Let's see. Maybe it's. Let me do that. Sometimes I go from Distilling 101 page to my personal page and back and forth, and it gets confused as to who in the hell's doing what, and it gives me that. Yeah, that's what it is, because it's there and on me right there. I think it's the 9th, isn't it? Oh, it's the 19th. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was thinking it was the night. I might be wrong. I was thinking it was right before Philbillies, but I can't open my daggone messenger here. Let's see. This one's opening maybe. I can't see. So fine, tiny print. I shouldn't go. At 1440 resolution, man, it makes everything so small. I'm gonna have to go to 1080 on this thing. But I want to make sure we get this right. There we go. Yeah, here we go. 9th. Yeah, July 9th, I think, was originally what we planned on. If that still works for you, brother. If not, we can do it the 19th. Whatever works best with you, man. Either way. But anyway, we're gonna have Alan on here, and I've said it before. I know Alan would love to be able to take the time to do what I'm doing. He loves educating and teaching, and but Alan's a very busy man, and I'm retired, so I'm not. So I know that he would love to be able to take the time to do this, and he's not able to. But anytime I can get him on here to chat with you guys and to help teach and maybe answer some of the more advanced topics, it'd be great. That's awesome, Robert. There's a lot of popcorns recipes out there. Israel recipes not a secret. It's been out there for quite some time, um, and it's good, but it's not a lot different than a lot of recipes. Basically, recipes just end up being ratios of corn and other grains. So, um, but the technique and how you do it, what you're doing it in, and kind of makes it your own. But I do think Alan's going to be doing some teaching some classes up there at the distillery. And I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's Old Homestead Distillery, and he's going to be. It's his new one. He used to be at Spirits of French Lick, and now he's at Old Homestead Distillery, and he has creative freedom now to do what he wants to do, which he's always had his hands tied in the past. And I'd probably stealing his thunder by talking about that right now, but he's going to do some class work. Him and Amanda both are doing some class work, and that would be excellent. Hands on. If you want to do a class with hands on from people, awesome people that are very knowledgeable, you definitely would be well served by doing a class with either of them or both, for sure. Alan's my go-to guy when I get questions that I have that I can't figure out. Alan's who I go to answer those for me. So, well, tell us about Popcorn's recipe, brother. You gonna share it? Or you gonna hog it in over there? Absolutely, brother. And I know that's what I know you're wanting to do it, and I know you'd love to be able to do what I'm doing, but just time, and I understand you got a lot of oars in the water, man. Got a lot going on. You and Tyler both working busy as bees up here at you. For you that don't know, he does one piece at a time, distillery and distiller talk, and uh, if you have ghosts, you have everything podcast. He's uh, he's got a lot going on. Hell yeah, brother. Definitely appreciate you, man. Yeah, yeah, definitely should, Jeff. Alan and Amanda, both great people, extremely knowledgeable, and definitely would be something to add to your resume for sure. And it'd be a lot of fun, learning to do it hands on. There's only so much I can show pictures, I can show little charts and stuff like that, but hands on, it's definitely the way to learn. It's kind of like you can sit in a classroom forever and hear somebody talk about it, but when you do it hands on, just like carpentry work, building anything, once you do the hands on, it all makes a lot more sense and comes together. And a lot of people, you have to have it that way. Some people can read a book and tell you everything you need to know. Some people have to, have that hammer and wrench in their hand to learn, and I'm kind of one of those people. I like the hands-on approach, and definitely can learn a lot from both of those people for sure. And I think they do like have lunches and dinners and little cookouts by the fire and sit around and drink and tell some stories. It's a good experience. And I'm probably going to do uh, one of Amanda's, maybe Alan's too. Once he gets them set up, I want to do some advanced stuff, learn a little bit more advanced stuff, and it's pretty limited to the places that you can go and learn advanced distilling. So, and with people that are willing to help. There's lots of people out there with the knowledge. Alan is very extremely knowledgeable. There's lots of other people that are very extremely knowledgeable. Thing is, they're not willing to dedicate any of their time to help educate and teach, and Alan is. So that's what separates them. And great guy, definitely great guy. So definitely can't go wrong. And I definitely would be interested in some advanced distilling. What's going on, Monty? I'm doing good, brother. How about yourself? Thanks for dropping in. And while everybody's here, it's almost 10 o'clock. Everybody hit that like button. If you're following on YouTube, hit that follow button. Like, subscribe, whatever's, Kick and Rumble and Twitch. Each has their little thing. You have to hit the bell to follow. And so, whatever platform you're on, follow us, and we'll definitely get you a little notification when we go live. Yeah, you definitely, want to do Amanda and Alan's. Alan would be a great advanced distilling. I think that's probably there's a lot of people like me out there teaching the basic stuff and and intermediate stuff, but there's not a lot of people teaching about advanced distilling techniques, and I think Alan would be, the man for that. Because I can go so far, but my limits in practical use in a commercial settings, none. I've always just done it on my own and learned by mistakes and learned the science of it. But as far as doing it every day in a commercial distillery, I don't have that kind of experience. So we have to go to someone like that, and Alan's the man. He's the one that's willing to dedicate his time and educating and sharing, which I can't say enough good about, because there's a lot of people out there that know that they want to hoard their information. They want to keep it like it's a big secret. They're afraid if they give it out, somebody else will know it and make something as good as theirs. Oh my God. So they want to fucking try to dominate the knowledge and not share it. I like sharing the knowledge, man. I want everybody to be able to make good stuff and enjoy the hobby and follow Alan's shoes, maybe like Glia's, he started out and he's learning, and now he's, just accepted the job at a distillery, and, he's going to learn practically, and so he's, started out with us, and he's going to learn a little bit more now at a distillery. So that's great. We love seeing people come in here and learn. Good night, Lisa. Sweet dreams, heart. Yeah, it's getting about that time. But yeah, I definitely look forward to having Alan on and going over some more advanced stuff and fielding some questions with, we're going to try to limit, the beginner questions. We'll do some of those, of course. Any questions anybody asks, we're going to answer, but I would like to, if you have some advanced topics, like, the guy was talking about earlier, doing some of his banana rums on bubble plates, and that versus maybe, a whiskey head and the difference in what flavors you might get and things like that. We're trying to focus on questions like that. So if you got some things you've always wanted to know and nobody was able to answer for you, that's going to be a good time to ask. All right, well, it's about 10 o'clock. It's starting to get a little bit slower in here, and I'm hot. I don't know why. I guess this basement's pretty warm down here. Let me turn this fan off, cool me off. But thanks, everybody, for stopping in. We will be back Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Same time, same back channel. So definitely tune in, hang with us, and I'm going to probably do some information as far as step by step. I was going to try to have it done by today, but I had Father's Day this past weekend and wasn't able to get a lot done, and took my father out yesterday. So um, my daughter and I went out Saturday or Sunday, and then I took my dad out yesterday. He doesn't like big crowds. He's got a little bit of a dementia and Alzheimer's starting to kind of creep in on him, and he doesn't like a lot of stimuli with a lot of crowds and stuff. So I tried to take him, day after or 2 days after Father's Day. We did the same way last year. But we had a good time. Had a big steak dinner at Cattleman's. Good shit. Cattleman's Roadhouse. Good stuff. All right, brothers. Everybody take care. Take it easy, Mr. Dash. Take it easy, Terry. Take care, Jeff. Thank y'all for stopping in. And then, like I said, be sure to hit those like buttons and comment and follow us, whatever each different format has. And we'll be back Saturday night at 8. And hopefully we'll have a little step-by-step I'm going to share with a lot of beginners. And I'm going to keep it on hand. I'm going to try to do a general brandy step-by-step. I'm not going to do like specific fruits because it's a generally you'll do the same process, but you'll do different amounts of fruits, right? So it'll basically be the same process, and I'll try to get more in depth with it and put up a little share maybe some screenshots or something for something I write down, or do a little video, or probably write some stuff down, type it in, and share it. And that way you can screenshot it, or you can log on to Moonshine Militia or DIY Shine and stuff, and get it off the files section there. So, but want to try to do little step by steps for basic, basic rum, basic vodka with a potato, or maybe wheat, a basic all corn, basic all grain, and then a basic brandy, and give people a base to build off of. But get your equipment, get your hydrometers, and get your pH. You don't have to have the meters. I like the little tape. Um, it's for there's some tape that's designed for the fermenting the tea. I'm trying to come up with the name. I don't do the what's it called, the shit. My niece does it. She calls me and asks me about it all the time. But what is that? My mind, man, I'm losing it. But anyway, they make a pH paper that ranges from 0 to 7 for kombucha. I couldn't think of kombucha. Yeah, thank you, Richard. My mind, man. I mean, I the other night I spent like 15 minutes trying to think of the fucking word funnel. Come up with funnel, man. So maybe I'm following in my dad's footsteps, and I'm not going to be able to do much for long. So I definitely like to be able to get what I didn't know out and help the hobbyists. But we'll see y'all Saturday. And, oh yeah, the pH paper. It's 0 to 7 pH for kombucha, and that's the same pH ranges that we deal with. You'll never get anything above 7. You don't want anything above 7. You don't even want 7 really. So it deals with lower pHs. It's a little paper. I think it's cheap. They say use a 1-inch strip, and you get 180 uses out of it. So I guess it's 180 inches of tape. I use a little 1/2 inch of tweezers because it's plenty enough to see the color, and it works just fine. The colors are easy to determine, and it's not exact. We don't need a 5.37 or whatever. We don't need that kind of accuracy. We just need to generally know, is it getting low to where it's going to stress my yeast? Is it too high? Is it around 5, or is it 3? Is it 2? And these have pretty distinct colors, so it's pretty easy to read. It's not real complicated. Like a lot of them, you're just like, hell, they all look the same color to me, man. And it gets pretty difficult. But you get on Amazon, it's I think it's like $12 for a roll. Maybe not even that much. I can't remember. Let me look real quick. I bought some a while back. I think it was last year though. I think it was last year that I bought that tape, and let me scroll through. I'm not sure. I burn Amazon, especially around Christmas. So I have to scroll past all this Christmas stuff. Let's see where all my money goes. Oh, here it is. Hydron dispenser, 0 to 6 pH range, 15-foot roll, and it's like $10, 25 cents plus tax, $10.87, and it's HYDRION, and there are some other brands, but and this stuff, I've used the meters, and if you've got a meter, that's great. They're fine. I just got tired of having to recalibrate the damn things all the time and wondering if it's calibrated, if it's right or not. The paper's a no-brainer. Tear it off, put it on the tweezers, stick it in there, look at the colors, match it up, you're done. It's just, fuck it. I'll never go back to those pens. I got probably 8, 10. Well, I've got a good one in there. I haven't used much yet. It's pretty nice. It's got a total dissolved solid meter and all that. But as far as buying $10, $12 meters and using them for 3 months, then buying another one never again. These paper ones, this is the second roll I've been on, and it's worked for years for me. So it's definitely the way to go. I won't go back to the pens ever again. Of course, now you need to keep it in a cool, dry, dark place. And if something spills on it, you've lost your investment. So you'll have to buy another $10 roll, but they do quite well. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, y'all, and have a great week. And we'll see you this weekend. Shine on, everybody. Take care. Peace out.